What's up, guys? Welcome back. I'm going to show you guys around this car that we bought. We bought an old drag car. It's an 87 Z28 Camaro. It came as a rolling chassis. It did have a 2-speed power glide automatic transmission with it. It used to be a big block car. We found it over like 5 hours away in Ohio. We worked out a deal where we had our 2010 Camaro. We pulled the engine and transmission out of it. We traded pretty much chassis for chassis. I wanted something to put the 408 in that was lighter and more purpose-built for drag racing. So we found this old thing. You might have already seen this car on some of our earlier videos. Like I said, it's an 87 Camaro. It was a Z28 car. T-tops. It still has all steel except for the hood's fiberglass. But steel fenders, steel quarters, steel doors. It's got the glass T-tops, the hatch. It's you know, still a fairly heavy car in the world of drag cars. We do have a full cage in it. It's got the funny car hoop in it. So when we bought it, it didn't come with an engine. And the transmission was already in the car, but I didn't know anything about it. So we pulled the transmission out of the car. And thankfully we did, because when we put it over here on the table, that's dirty right now, and pulled the pan off and everything, well, we pulled the pan off actually. We pulled the pan off while the transmission was in the car actually. But when we pulled the pan off, it was full of clutch material. And I mean full. Like, looked like we had a transmission that was completely shot in the car. So, thought, well, bummer. We're going to have to pull this thing apart, rebuild it. So we went ahead and pulled the transmission out of the car, stuck it up on the bench. I made a mount for it, hung it there. And we pulled everything out of the transmission to find that somebody had very recently rebuilt the transmission with some really good parts. So we were like, why, you know, obviously that makes you wonder, why in the world would there be so much clutch material in the pan? The only thing that we could come up with was maybe somebody rebuilt the transmission at the track or something, or put a new one in it, or a different transmission in it at the track, and didn't have any way of flushing the lines in the cooler. So maybe it had a lot of clutch material in the cooler. I don't know. It would have been a lot. It would have had to have been a lot, because there was a lot in the pan. Anyways, we went ahead and flushed the cooler out, flushed the lines out, got it cleaned out really good, freed up. And then we cleaned the transmission, reassembled it, put it back together, put it in the car. Then was for the fun part. Then we started putting together our engine combo. So I'm gonna yank this hood off of here. So bear with me for a second. Just like that, I got the hood off. Boom. So as you can tell, the hood's already cut out. We did that. But, so I've got some work to do on it yet. You can see it's not completely tidied up and cleaned up under the hood here. However, this is our 408. Now this was previously in our 2010 Camaro. It is an iron 6-liter. Yes, it was swapped into our 2010 Camaro. The LS3 was swapped out. We pulled the engine apart, freshened it up, all new bearings, and actually there was a few things that we did while we had it apart just to further bulletproof it. Everything internally is rated for 2,000 horsepower. Obviously it's never going to see those numbers, but we are running a fairly large turbo on it. It's a 92 millimeter T6 1.58 AR. It's rated for about 1,550 horsepower. So we're going to see how much it'll do. See how much it'll push through this 408. We've had it turned up to 21 or 22 pounds of boost in our 2010 Camaro. The engine itself is making approximately 600 horsepower naturally aspirated. So do the math. Every 14.7 pounds of boost should double your naturally aspirated power. So at 22 pounds of boost, we're about 1.5 times NA, which would put us at 1,500 horsepower. And that's about all the turbo wanted to put out. So we have had it on a dyno in the other car. However, it was on slicks and there wasn't much weight in the back, and it just kept blowing the tires off, so we couldn't get a very good reading. After about 4,000 RPMs, it would just start smoking the tires, which is right when it starts making boost. So anyway, what's left to do, right? Well, some silly stuff. So we got a dipstick tube here that we stuck in just to get a reading of how much oil we had in it, so we could put a marking on the tube. We got to cut that bracket off and relocate it so it actually mounts somewhere and isn't flopping around. We've got some wiring to get ran and tucked up. We haven't set up our Mac valve yet. We've got to get that routed and wired to the computer so we can control boost. We're hoping to have it done in time for, we don't have one coming up, but there is a drag and drive event coming up. I believe it's in May. We need to get it done in time before we can test and tune it, get it set up, and then we're going to enter it into a drag and drive event and see how we can do. So whoever owned it before us was extremely short, and they extended the brake pedal and everything way up here. When I'm putting my foot on that pedal, my knee's almost touching my chin. So the gas pedal and the brake pedal are both going to be relocated, or shortened, I guess, essentially, and brought back towards the firewall. We still have some wiring to get tucked and hidden. This up here needs all loomed and tucked up. We've got another fuel pump on the way. Right now we've only got a single MagnaFuel 750 inline fuel pump. My fastest pass so far in a car at the quarter mile was a 980 at 148.7 miles per hour, and that was in our turbo Fox body, which I can throw a clip of that in here somewhere maybe.
Damn, baby, you got it! You hear the kids screaming over there? They're so excited.
That was an 85 millimeter VS Racing turbo on a 6-liter in a Fox body. We were running 14 pounds of boost and what was it, E85, and I didn't have much timing in it at all because I didn't have any way of finding out where my peak timing, my ultimate or my optimum timing was going to be. So I ran kind of a safe timing. I think I had like 18 degrees or 17 degrees at 14 pounds of boost on E85, which is really conservative. But we ran a 980 at 148.7, leaving the line with a 1.7 60 foot. So if that tells you, if you know drag racing, you know that we had a ton left in it off the line. We just were leaving really soft, left on no boost, just to be easy on everything, because I wasn't sure how much the drivetrain was going to handle. It was still an 8.8 rear end, and I think we had, let me think here, what was my gear set? 308s. It was pretty long, like a 308 gear set. I don't remember what my I was leaving it like 3,000 RPM with no boost. So yeah, turbo 400. It just wasn't obviously super hot out of the hole setup like that. But anyway, we're hoping to get this thing to be way faster than the last car. It's got a legit cage in it. It's set up nice. It goes straight so far. We haven't had it on a drag trip to see how well it goes straight, but I have had it on the road, and when I get it to plant power, it seems to want to go straight so far. So, but we haven't turned it up either. We've only made 11 pounds of boost, and ran out of fuel pump. So hopefully with the updates, we'll have enough fuel pump to turn her up all the way, make the power. Yeah, that's what we've got going on so far with the old 87 scrap metal Camaro. Perfect. Way better. It's a lot better than having my legs were clear up here. Brake or pedal, brake, and I had to push the pedal clear. I was having to push the pedal clear down to the floor from clear up here. Now I can just, which is significantly better. Way, way better. Heck yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. Yeah, buddy. Push the brake good. Now we gotta go drive it. Woo! Damn! Woo! That is fun, man. We're only making 11 pounds of boost right now, and this thing is ripping, dude. Ripping. Now don't get me wrong, 11 pounds of boost on this engine is actually close to 1,000 horsepower, so it should be ripping. But man, I can't wait to turn this thing up another 11 more pounds and see what 1,500 horsepower feels like in this car. We haven't made 1,500 horsepower in this car yet. We've made 1,500 horsepower with this setup in the last car, which was 1,200 pounds heavier. So this is fun. This is fun. I'm excited. Okay, so you guys saw what it runs like. Actually, I looked back at the log and we only made 10 pounds of boost there. I was guessing on what we had it set at, but it ended up making 10 pounds of boost instead of 11. So as you can see, it's gonna be a fun car. It's gonna be fast. It's coming along pretty nicely. We got to take our time on it because, you know, it's a lot of work and we have a lot of other work to work on, customer stuff in between, so we got to prioritize that. But I'm excited to get this thing done. We're gonna keep on working on it, keep making some, you know, updates to it, keep improving on it, and the scrap metal monster Camaro, whatever the hell we call it, the Camaro is gonna be fun. The biggest thing is we want to, you know, we want everyone to be able to be along for the ride, obviously, and experience this while we are experiencing it, because this is all new power levels to us. I mean, so there's that. Well, I shouldn't say that. We made this power in an old or another car that we built, but it was a lot heavier and it wasn't set up for drag racing. It was a 6-speed manual, you know, 4,200 pound car, 4,400 pounds with me in it. So it wasn't, you know, anything super impressive. It was still, I shouldn't say that. It was still really fast. 1,500 horsepower in a 5th gen Camaro is still pretty fast. But compared to what 10 or 11 pounds in this car feels like, I mean, this car already feels faster. So I'm really excited to see what it feels like once we get her turned all the way up. I cannot wait. Sorry, my cheeks are hurting from smiling. I can't wait to get this thing to the track and put down some times and see what she's going to run, and get some time to start messing with the 4-link on it and make some changes, see how that's going to affect it, and see what we can do. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. That's going to be about it for today. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. Get some!